The Dick Cavett Show. Tonight, Dick's special guest is Bob Hope. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Cavett.
Thank you. More? That's all I know. How are you? Good. Listen, let me hurry right through these cards because we have some guests backstage. We have a guest backstage. Is it true you have to be 18 to be on the show? If it is, ha-ha, we fooled you. Where are you sitting? Joke's on you. The whole audience is drafted. How do you like this? Will this show be seen tonight or is it pre-taped? We never pre-tape. It's always the same day. So go right home and enjoy it. Have a safe and sane 4th. Now you're wondering, eh? How would you like your body rubbed by a gorgeous blonde? Very slowly. That's what you want me to say, right? I'm not going to bite on that. Must take a lot of courage to do 90 minutes with a real comedian. It does, but Mr. Hope is known for his courage. Maybe I don't understand that. For Pete's sake, Cavett, for your years you've been boring us to death about animals. Now at last maybe you can be of some help. Can you recommend a good veterinarian in New York? Sure, what's wrong with you? Don't ever let a lull appear, just keep going. What is the point of this proposed ABC schedule? Do you really think you can score 1 night out of 4? I should like to think so. You ought to have my boyfriend on the show. He is a liquor wholesaler to bars and restaurants. He's always being propositioned by gorgeous women trying to make a deal with him. He has many hilarious stories about this. Please, we try to keep the tone of this show a little higher than that. If you could do anything else, what would you want to be? A liquor wholesaler to bars and restaurants. See, Aren't you the host who hates to see his guests waiting outside? By the way, this is the 3rd time I've tried to see you. The first time the show was canceled. Second time Steve Allen was guest host. And the 3rd time I got sore feet. I am sorry about your feet. There's nothing I can do. Look at it this way. Corn plasters are cheaper than preparation. Well, never mind. I shouldn't have started that. Bob Hope. I'm sorry. This is to Bob Hope. Why don't you come to Kansas City sometime? The only time we get to see you is on TV or showers. Shows. Mary Boyles. I'll let him answer that. Let's see. I can't answer that. It's too dirty. Have you ever been physically attracted to one of your guests to the point of distraction, or do you always remain objective and aloof while on the air? I must admit, I once made a fool of myself over Buddy Hackett, and that's taught me. Did you hear about the new European TV show which features a girl who has become pregnant? Yes, I do know about this. Do you know about this? And she describes her progress in detail every day. They say it's a great rating getter. That's a true thing. I'm doing that in Europe. Actually, a better rating getter would be a girl who hadn't become pregnant yet, who described her progress every day in detail. All you comedians do jokes about how unpleasant New York is. Should remember that not everyone agrees. There are a lot of song lyrics that remind us what a great place New York is. Like the great big city's a wondrous toy, just made for a girl and boy. Right, Bonnie and Clyde. My girlfriend and I are so far back, we doubt if we can see, or if anybody can see us. What can we do? Just about anything, I guess. What? No? Listen, I think Bob Hope is here. We have a message and we'll be right back. Stay with you. It's hard not to run out of superlatives introducing my only guest tonight. He certainly, by anybody's standards, is one of the greatest entertainers the world has ever known. And he consistently gets higher ratings than any performer in television. He's appeared in 6 Broadway shows. A lot of people don't know that. Over 60 motion pictures, thousands of radio shows. He's received every award and citation for humanitarian and professional efforts, including a special medal that President Kennedy presented him with, a gold medal. He received honorary degrees from most universities as Doctor of Humane Letters, Doctor of Law honorary degrees. And they figure that he has traveled about 6 million miles. They stopped counting at that. For over 28 years, entertaining GIs in hospitals in the North Atlantic and the Caribbean and North Africa and the Middle East and Southeast Asia and everywhere. He's been a dance instructor, a clerk, a boxer, amateur boxer, a newspaper reporter. He has played golf with kings and presidents. Presidents have come to visit him. He's friendly with cops and cardinals, everybody. He is an American institution. I once introduced him as in a list of things like the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, the Mississippi River. You know, of course, that I mean the only Bob Hope. Did I get the name right?
Why did you cut that introduction so short?
You took some of it backstage for your scrapbook. Gee, I don't believe it. I mean, I guess, I don't suppose I could ever tell you or anybody how much you have meant to me over the years. I mean, I don't think I'd be in show business if there hadn't been a Bob Hope. I used to imitate you and watch you, and when I was just a little kid.
You talk like my children. A little bit. No, you know, I was here one time.
That's right.
They told me backstage when you had the morning show.
The morning show, my old.
And I've been under contract to the, to the major network. And for so many years, true. Yeah. And I've known Dick how many years? A long time, about 10 years.
About 10, I guess.
And I would have been here, you know, because I've always had a lot of things to sell. Yeah. But they're very careful about where I go, you know, on that other network, and I got to be fair about it because I have been stealing from them ever since.
You've been with them for a long, long time.
I sure have. I've been with them. This is well, I started with them in 1938. I was about that high, and I've really enjoyed it. And I built, I've built a nice little estate. I've had a couple of homes. I have raised 4 children, and we've had enough to eat and all because I saw one of the Sarnoffs coming out of that motel.
Finally, it comes out. An entire career resting on a little thing like that. That's amazing. You know, everybody talks about how fast you move around and all. I have a list they gave me of where you've been. This may shock you, but since August of this year, you've been in Monticello, New York, Denver, Colorado, Minneapolis, Des Moines, Illinois, Detroit, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, St. Louis, San Francisco, Mankato, Minnesota, Anaheim, California again, Los Angeles, and back to New York. Can't you find any place you like? What is that?
I keep looking for a place where I can be a hit.
And you just can't see
it's great. You know, people ask you about that, but it doesn't worry me or it doesn't wear me out. In fact, I get a lot of therapy from getting around. You know, if you got a lot of ham bone, and I sleep on a hook at night, and once in a while I go and rest in the Swift locker, you know, for a while.
Real streak of ham, eh?
Yeah, I think you're the same, don't you? I know that you would appreciate a laugh, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, but laughs
I remember getting one once, and
laughs are therapy, Dick, as you know. And I saw Jack Benny here at the Ziegfeld one time, and he started out very slow, and finally, with his style, got that audience, and he grew 3 inches on the stage, you know, like somebody was watering him, you know.
Yeah.
And he finished walking off on his tiptoes. Of course, he always walks that way anyway. But he was he's beautiful, and there's a real hand.
I don't think I have that much, though. I mean,
no, I don't think you walk that way either.
No, but that's funny you should mention walking, because when years ago, you came to Lincoln, Nebraska. You've been there many times, I guess. But as a kid, I couldn't believe it. It said Bob Hope, not a film, you know, in person.
Yeah.
And I saw you there. And I must have been in, I think I was in 7th grade. And I was transfixed by that. You
I
actually
was in
came
the
out on
8th grade
stage.
at that time. My teacher let me travel.
Well, the strange part is, I was so taken with your walk when you came on stage that I imitated it for weeks after that.
Yeah,
Guys
yeah.
would ask me, why are you walking funny?
Yeah.
And I couldn't explain it.
Well, Jack Benny has gone to England with his walk since they declared homosexuality legal, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he does. He's had a lot of offers. He's sort of on a loan out from Fire Island. I think he's awfully good.
We're on the air.
Are we really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought this was the warm-up.
No, this is it.
Oh, well.
Very
sorry.
We have messages here every so
Bleep,
often.
huh?
We have messages
I
here
know
every
you
so
do.
often.
I know you
And
do.
this is one of them. Gee, it's great of you to come and sit this long for...
So happy. I had to get in out of the rain.
Well, we won't let it rain on you, and maybe we'll find out. There are a lot of things people don't know about you. We'll
Okay,
be back after this. It's funny, you did a take when you heard Rosengarten playing
I love it. I finally came to me. I woke up. That was it.
Roberta.
That's the thing I did in Roberta. Let's begin. And
When was that? When did you first do that?
that was 1933 and 4.
Yeah.
1933 and 4.
You know, it would sound funny if somebody said, I wasn't even born then.
I wasn't either. Actually, it was just a vision floating out there.
It would sound funny if somebody said one of the greatest comedians England has ever produced, Mr. Bob Hope. And yet, I don't know how many Americans know that you were born over there.
Well, I've been over here so long. You know, I came over when I was 4 because I left England because I knew there was very little chance of me becoming king. Or little did I know I could go across the channel to Denmark and become queen. You're setting me up for this stuff.
Before, weren't you? Yes.
But I love this because that was one of the great thrills of my career, being in that show in Roberta at the New Amsterdam Theater, standing backstage, listening to Russell Bennett orchestrations of Jerome Kern's music. And I'll come back to Broadway if I can get another setup like that. I really will.
That would be something if you came back to Broadway. You did
Well,
Red Hot and Blue on Broadway.
Yeah, Freddie Lowe has been asking me to come back, and I would really, I'm serious about this. The next year I'd like to come back and do a show on Broadway.
That'd be sensational.
I really would.
Did you,
I love the stage. I just love
You
it.
like
I
it here,
started there. I started on the stage, and I love it. And I love the excitement of this theater, you know.
the New Amsterdam, that's an old, it's still down there on...
42nd, yeah.
Debbie C. Fields played there, Fanny Bryce, all those...
Oh, yeah.
She
all the
played with
people,
all of us.
the bandbox. I played with Fanny in the Follies at the Winter Garden, Fanny Bryce, and
Did you get on well with her?
loved her.
Yeah.
We used to be very great friends. Used to go and... She lived up in Central Park West. We used to have dinner together, you know. She's a very, very wonderful gal. Very funny gal, cute gal.
Can you remember England? Do you have any memories of...
No, only thing I remember, I lived in Bristol, and I protected my dog one day, and I got hit with a rock right there. And it's still there. The
Little scar there?
little indentation there.
Protected your dog from...
Well, some kids were throwing rocks at it, you know, and I ran out to grab them. And,
Yeah.
I got beamed. I think that's what helped me be a comedian. I've never been the same since. I really never have.
What other times in your life have you been injured?
Well, let me see. I've had a very bad accident when I was about 15. I was helping my brother in Columbus, Ohio, clean some lines. He was the electric company there. And I was up in a tree tying a rope on the tree after they'd cut it away quite a bit, you know, and they'd cut it away too much. And I rode the tree down, and this is what happened.
You mean...
Seriously, that's how I got this nose. They set my nose on the hospital floor.
And never put it back on your face, huh?
That's
Is
a true
is that the
story.
truth?
True story. And here, you see this?
See.
What I covered now with a little pen. See there? See this little scar here?
Little scar here, yeah.
See this one here?
Yeah?
You want to kiss me?
Well... No, I just want to walk like you.
No, it's true. And
never seen-
this is it. This is what I wound up with. They didn't give me a mirror in the hospital for about 7 weeks, and I finally got a load of it after it was kind of healed up, and I said, well, I guess I'll have to go with NBC.
So that's the story of the Hope Nose. I've never heard that
No, that's
told
true.
before.
That's true. I've got brothers who are fairly normal looking.
Could your old nose ever come back? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Dean Martin's wearing it. I've got his old one.
What kind of a kid were you, though? Did you play games like other kids, cowboys and Indians? And
No. I started very early as sort of a rat. I was a rat of the neighborhood.
Fighting a lot?
No, we used to have a gang in Cleveland. I moved to Cleveland, you know.
Yeah.
And I started going to the YMCA, and I was a pretty fast runner, and I had a buddy that could run faster than I could. Mm-hmm. And we used to line up all the picnics in the summertime, and we'd win all the races. You know, they had good prizes, $10, $5, $3. This is when I was about around that age, 14, 15. Mm-hmm. So there were two places. There was Euclid Beach and Luna Park. And we'd find out what time the athletic events were, an American Steel and Wire, you know, or the Butcher Picnic or something. Mm-hmm. We'd call up and we'd arrange the races, see?
Fix them?
Yeah, we'd call up and say, what time are the races there? And the guy would say, 3 o'clock. Oh, that's a shame. What do you mean it's a shame? Well, we wanted to come out and take pictures of the head of the athletic events. And if you could do it like at 4 o'clock at your place, we're going to Luna Park at 3, see? So we go to Luna Park. The guy said, oh, that's fine, we'll do that, because he wanted to get his friend. So we go to Luna Park and get in all the races, win all the money, then get on the streetcar and go to Euclid Beach and win all the money there.
And you scheduled them the way you wanted
to. We scheduled them on the phone. Rats.
That is sneaky. It's a wonder you didn't.
My original name was Lucky Luciano.
It's surprising you became a performer, not an agent. It's incredible. Wait, are there any other performers in your family? Did anybody else become is there an unsuccessful comedian in the family?
I think so. 2 or 3 of them laying around there.
Yeah.
No, all my kids take chops at me, you know.
I bet.
Yeah, they all have. They've been around me so long that they all like to lay it in and top me every once in a while. My oldest daughter has a devastating sense of humor. She works a lot like, let me say who. Anyway, she's very subtle and she's very smart. And she chops me up quite a bit because they used to listen to my monologues. I used to come down when I'd get this monologue for radio. You remember radio?
Of course.
It's that knob in the car on the left there.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, anyway, I used to bring the monologue down after, you know, it only cost about $18,000, and I'd prune the whole thing down, lay it on the table, and they'd all be sitting there, the 4 kids and my wife, and they'd be talking, finally say, why don't you read the monologue? I say, well, I will, all right. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob Pepsin and Hope, living by the skin of your teeth. And so-and-so and so-and-so, and she'd say, Kelly, sit up, will you please, when you eat? I'd lay the thing down.
Wouldn't even appreciate it.
Lay the thing down. Now they'd all look back at me after they got through talking and say, all right, read, sorehead. You know.
And you climbed above this and went on to...
Yeah, went on. No, it was a great thing because by the time I got to the studio, they sounded friendly.
What... In those days on radio, that was live, wasn't it, the radio show?
It certainly was.
So if you blew a joke, you went right on.
Oh, it was fun. And you used to have all the tricks in radio because, you know, if a joke didn't play, you used to go, kiss it, you know, and all that stuff. But I loved it. There was no makeup, and you just walked out of the studio and you dropped it in there, you know, and you walked. It was just beautiful.
What about...
I didn't mean to move your career.
Oh, no, that's good. Well, it's time someone did. Listen, what was I going to say?
You don't need any help, do you?
What was I? Yes. What was I going to say? Do you know, when I was a kid, they would always say, hey, did you hear about how Bob Hope got cut off last week or something? Like a censor would decide that a show...
Yeah.
Now, how could that happen? The show was live and the joke was already told.
No, but we had to submit the script to him, you know, and they'd start screaming. And a funny thing about us, we used to do a preview on the night before. Very long preview, then cut it down. And it had a lot to do with the success of our show. Because we had a lot of writers. You know, I found out after playing around and trying to get everything out of college humor, you know, and switching jokes around, that it'd be nice to hire some writers, you know. So I finally wound up with 12 writers, the greatest talent you ever saw. And we used to do all this stuff, and then we'd cut it down. We'd go to the agency and cut it down, and the next day we'd go on. Well, the censor had already heard some of the jokes, so he'd come in and say, you can't do that joke. And would you think that they would try and bring out a vice president from New York because you wanted to say, we want to help Kate Smith get her moon over the mountain? You know, you can say that in church today.
That's right.
You know, but that's one of the lines that we went to the mat with, you know. And we were trying to do things that would get attention, and we'd all stand down the end of the hallway, you know, and the censor would come down. A 12 guy'd say, "Oh, here comes old Dirty Mind." And he, you know, can you imagine walking into the mouth of 12 writers? And the censor finally asked to be transferred to San Francisco.
And I doubt if there's any one of those jokes that you couldn't easily do now. And
Nothing. We'd never do. You know, because in those days the standards were different. Yeah. Well, you would never think of saying jerk on the air. 25, jerk was dirty.
That was considered
vulgar. You would never say that, you know.
Yeah.
And all at once somebody slipped it in. Hey, jerk, saw that, and you were on the way. Now it's a straight line.
Used to be a 4-letter word.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing. Let us take a break. We have a message. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We only have
this is Old Home Week. I love that. You're making my visit really worthwhile.
Music's really getting to you.
No, it's great.
That was from Roberta,
it's great,
too?
These songs, huh?
That was from Roberta,
That's
too?
Roberta, too.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Fred McMurray was in that show?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was with the California Collegians.
Yeah.
And borrowed my hi-hat and a cane to make a test for Paramount. And I said, well, you know, because they tested me in 1930, and I thought, they'll never handle this kid, you know. And he came back in a couple of weeks, he said, could I borrow it again? They asked me for some more film. I said, sure, but have it back for the show, which he did, you know. Came to me about 2 weeks later, said, I'm going to California. I said, no kidding. I said, they'll kill him out there. What do they know of oranges out there? They'll never, you know, they don't know anything about talent. I was so mad because they didn't buy me, you know. And he went out there, and about 5 months later, I was walking down Broadway on the way to the theater. I looked up at the Paramount sign. It said, Claudette Colbert and the Gilded Lily with Fred McMurray. I almost fell in the sewer, you know? This guy was featured in his first film, and I couldn't wait for the show to get over to run into see that thing, see how bad he was, you know?
Yeah.
And he was great. He was just great. The next picture, Carol Lombard and hands across the table. He was just fabulous, and he went on and on and on, you know, till the day he almost talks to me. No, I wondered, you know, it's a funny thing about our business, you know. You never know how successful, you know, what it'll do to a guy.
Yeah.
And when they finally signed me, they finally discovered me in 1937. I went out there, and I ran into Mac coming around a set. Now, he'd been working there 4 years, a star now, you know. And he said, hey, held out his arms like that and hugged me, you know. You want to cry because you say, this guy is really something. He's always been that way. He's a beautiful, beautiful man.
Gee,
that's pretty sad. It's like a news event I'm talking about. You know? Don't cry, folks.
You don't have to. You don't have to
pass out the containers.
It's a treat to hear you talk this way. We have to take a station break. We'll be right back. Stay where we are.
Months that that's.
Are we back?
Actually happened. You know.
We're on the air.
Are we?
People are actually looking at us.
Let's clean it up and go on.
Okay. You've made how many films now? Do you know offhand?
About 59, I think.
59 films.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're still making them. You just did one.
Just finished one that opened at the Music Hall.
Yeah.
Radio City Music Hall. I was kind of delighted about that because we were on for Paramount for so long, you know, and everything played the Paramount Theater here, all our first-run films. And I was kind of delighted that they took this film. Of course, they have a little problem getting clean films over there. They play to a family audience, you know.
The Music Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they decided this film is a G. It's sort of an old-fashioned film. You know, nobody takes their clothes off.
And yet you agreed to
Just the audience.
Oh.
No, but I'm very flattered by it that they took the film.
We have a bit from it. I saw it earlier, and it looks rough on you. I'd like to ask you how you did some of this stuff. Should you tell us anything about it? It's called Cancel My Reservation.
I know. Yeah, Cancel My Reservation.
Okay. Why don't you roll it, and if there are any questions, we can answer them in the question and answer session right after it. Here it comes. Cancel My Reservation.
Careful, partner. You don't have your brand on that yet.
You're alive.
Only one of us is going to be if you make another move.
You have to let the horse know who is master. Obviously, this horse knows.
Yeah.
up my stomach on the way back.
All I want is a fair trial.
If it ever comes to trial, you know, the people in this town are mighty sore. Mob rule may prevail.
Mob rule?
Isn't there any justice?
Poor fella, he'll do anything to win an Oscar.
Did I see that right?
Yeah.
Gee,
I'll tell you one thing, he's not going to like it either.
Well,
being on your show.
You got a lot of old-timers in that scene.
Dear old John.
That's amazing.
No, we got, in that scene, we got Crosby. I'm supposed, you know, it's a dream where I think I'm. Did you dig what's happening there?
Yeah, it's a fantasy
I got
scene.
Crosby standing out there saying, I said, help me, help me. He says, help you? Who do you think bought the rope, you know?
Yeah.
And then John Wayne, I said, and anybody going to help me? And I'm pulling up this thing. And John Wayne says, I'd like to, but it's not my picture.
Your films have always...
I was
going to say, in your movies, you've always called attention to the fact that you're making movies, which I always thought was funny. At the end of The Pale Face, you turn and say, I'd like to see him top this on television. And that was
we started that in a thing called Favorite Blonde, where Bing played the truck driver, you know, and it's always kind of a surprise, and it's always played well.
Yeah, yeah. You've been... Somebody said that
you
you've
see
been...
this girl that was in the bed thing?
Yeah.
And the scene about that is that I went into the house originally and found a dead Indian girl there, see? Mm-hmm. And the sheriff took me down, questioned me, and let me out for a while. I went back and got in bed, and this hand fell across my face. And she'd been using this house. That's the first time I'd been sleeping. This is my house, but she'd been using it, you know. And that's the story right there.
And you shot it on
you
part of it
understand.
on a reservation?
It's not a dirty picture. Hmm?
Was some of it shot on a reservation in Arizona? Or?
No, it was shot at Carefree, Arizona.
Oh,
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Yes, I heard that it was very hot there while you were shooting.
It really was. It really something.
You said you saw a rattlesnake holding up a white flag. And you may have forgotten
I was trying
that.
to think of that joke, and you threw it in
I'm
there.
sorry, I got there ahead of you.
I love that.
Have you ever been hurt making a film? Didn't you get hit with
Yes,
a
I have. I was on a prop horse in fancy pants, and, you know, they come up close and try to simulate action, you know? Mm-hmm. And the guy loosened the straps too much, and they threw me off 8 feet onto my back on the concrete floor.
On an artificial horse,
You know? Yeah, an artificial horse. And they brought in the stretcher, and I came to just as I was going out of the stage door, and I said, take me right to Lakeside Golf Club, please. But they didn't. They took me to the hospital, and I was in there for a few days, but I was all right.
And there was something some years ago, weren't you filming and your hat caught fire? Did that happen?
Oh, I've had so many things happen. Yeah,
bucket
really.
hit you in the head and a couple of others?
A champagne bucket, you know. Yeah. That was supposed to land like this, only they changed prop men, you know. And
well, that's
I
nice.
forgot to tell the guy exactly where I went, so it hit me on the shoulder. Almost killed me.
How's your ad
They
living?
have silly ways of dropping your option out there, I'll tell you that.
How much schooling did you get, Bob? Mr. Hope?
Why do you preface that? No, I went to high school and was going into college, and then I went to dancing school, and I got so many offers that I went right into showbiz.
Dancing school?
Yeah.
And didn't you teach it for a while?
Yeah, after a while I did. I taught. Geez, you got a nasty memory.
That's right.
You really have.
Well, we've looked into your past.
And
Yeah.
Were you bitten at all?
No, we didn't uncover anything.
You take a tetanus shot?
I may have to. I know that you took. I know that you fought for a while professionally.
I was
under
not
the name-
professionally, never.
Not professionally.
I was a bad amateur. I fought in the name of Packy East.
That is the weirdest name for a fighter I've ever heard. How did you come up with that?
Well, a friend of mine fought under the name of Packy West, and for a gag, I went down and signed up as Packy East, and I was beautiful. I really was. I fought as Rembrandt East for a while. I was on the canvas so much. You could feel that coming, couldn't you? No, I did.
Were you the only fighter that had to be carried into the ring? That's one of yours, too. I feel terrible.
No, it's not one of mine. It's Joe Williams.
Oh, it
Joe
is?
Williams, a Cleveland Press sports editor, said that I was the only fighter carried both ways,
That's nice.
in and out. But I had a lot of fun doing that.
You know, there was once a review of one of your movies in the London Observer said Bob Hope's never won an Oscar, and he's gotten a lot of laughs about that over the years. But the fact is, he's one of the best screen actors we have, and it's true. You know, when you movies where you've had to play a semi-serious scene like or a completely serious scene like the Seven Little Boys, something like that. It isn't like a comedian being serious for a moment. It's really You really like...
No, I think comedians have to understand acting of all kinds, you know, because before you can satirize anything or burlesque it, you have to know what you're doing, you know.
And you're not trained as an actor? You never had acting lessons?
No, but I did get a lot of experience on the stage, you know, because I was started with a tabloid musical company, and they were amazed. First time I went on to rehearse Roberta, for instance, Jerome Kern and Otto Harbeck said, "How can you walk on the stage?" Because they caught me at the Palace in vaudeville, you know. Yeah. And they said, "How can you walk on the stage and just be at ease and act like that?" I said, "Well, I was with a tab show for 2 years when I started. And I did everything in that show. I did leading man, I did blackface comedy, I do a Russian general, I sang in a quartet, I danced, I played saxophone, very good too. They used to chase me from town to town."
Someone asked if you were going to play the saxophone. They want to know whether it is...
I'm not. I'm cured.
Well, he's not, and I noticed they're not leaving, so there you are.
No, but that's the thing that everybody should do if they want to, you know, really go into pictures or anything, get that kind of experience.
Did they give you any advice when you started to make a film? Did they say, now you come from the stage, and of course you'll act in a different way, but in the movies it's all different? Is there any trick to that?
You know, you're leading me into something, and you're very good, you know.
Am I?
Yes, you are. You know that Mitchell Lyson, the director of our first picture, took me over across the street from Paramount to Lucy's restaurant. And he said, "I know you've been on the stage for a long time, but I want to tell you, in pictures, you work with your eyes, you act with your eyes." And that's all he had to tell me, because I went right back to the stage. The first thing I did in pictures was Thanks to the Memory, and I threw my eyes all over the set. Some of the grips were catching them upstairs, you know. And I was, "Thanks for the memory." And you can see it, if you ever see big broadcasts in 1938, dig my eyeballs, man. They change sockets once in a while. I want to
act with your eyes.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Well, it really is the thing. If you do act with your eyes, as you know.
But you were overacting with your eyes.
Yeah, you can. But I was really rolling them around there.
You're right. I was leading you into something. I remember reading that years ago in the old New York Post article about you. They said act with your eyes, and I always want to know what they meant by it. And I've watched eyes in the movies ever since then. That's interesting. Can you hold on for just a moment? We have a message, and we'll be back. And now here's the star of our show, Bob Hope.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to put my other lashes on for the last half. The funny lashes.
I won't ask where you were.
I enjoyed it.
I think it's this tea we're having. I may be the next one to go.
No, I was very late getting over here, and I was a little concerned because the traffic had me hemmed in. And then I met so many friends back there that I forgot.
Can you remember where you first laid eyes on Crosby?
I think at the Friars Club here, and back about 32. And are you on a funny answer?
No, I like the real ones. Did it?
No,
not that I don't.
No, but I did, and then we played the Capitol Theater here with Abe Lyman and an act called Cass, Mack, and Owen. And we became very good friends because we started working together and doing impressions of the president of the Coca-Cola Company, meeting the president of the Coca-Cola Company on the street, you know. And I played Pepsi, and we said, "Hi." This is the stuff. Folks, this is how you get started, with a little gas, that's all. No, I mean it. And then, they died at that, you know. And later on, I did it with Cary Grant, this whole routine for the Victory Caravan, you know? Yeah. And two farmers meeting on the street, you know? Go like that, go like that.
Go like
two
this?
Farmers. Hi, Si, how are things down the farm, all right?
One of our leading
class, all French drama, you know?
It's amazing you've
They
never
loved it, they loved it. Oh, and we went on, and Jerry Clone and I kept doing that. We did it up till the last 8 or 10 years. Did it all the camps around the world during all the wars. Yeah. And it always played.
How many close shaves have you had in all that traveling?
Well, we had a couple, and our first trip offshore was in 1942 to Alaska. Yeah. And we left a place called Cordova in a Lockheed Lodestar, small plane. And we said we never were going to fly at night. Up there especially, you know. But there was a general called Simon Bolivar Buckner, who was having a big street party for us, and we had to get back. So we got up into this storm. We didn't know there was a storm. We got up into it. They lost the radio, and they put the parachutes and the Mae West on us. We're 13,000 feet over Anchorage, and the guy said, when you jump, pull these things, you know. And I looked over at Tony Romano, and he turned green, so we gave him a little shot of booze, and we're all sitting there. And I'll always love Jerry Colonna for one thing, because he was sitting there with a trench coat and a Phelps Turkel pot hat on, way down, because it was cold by that time in the plane. And I looked over and I went, and he went. What's going to be is going to be, you know?
Yeah.
And it broke me up, even at the fact. And we got into the backwash of a United Airliner, felt our backwash, because we had no radio. We were just flipping around 13,000 feet. Yeah. He went down and reported we were there. The general put up the anti-aircraft lights, and one pierced through the clouds, and this pilot followed them down to the field, you know. And we got out, and I want to tell you, boy, I turned into a little girl. They had to carry me away and everything.
Is that one came to your mind first?
Yeah,
is that the most scared you've been?
Yeah, that's the one that scared me. And we had another one down in the South Pacific where we made a forced landing, and I was flying the plane. I probably shouldn't tell this on the air, but I was flying this Navy Catalina from Brisbane to, I wasn't flying, I was just up there, you know, holding the thing, because it's just like a bus after it gets in the air. And the pilot was back there, and I was holding the thing like this, you know. There'd probably be a congressional investigation about this. But this motor started to go out, two-motor plane, and and the pilot came up to him, get out of there. And I got out of there like Zarina under that bar, you know. And he feathered this prop, and he called the sergeant. He said, jettison everything on this plane. It was a Navy Catalina with a blister in the back. You know that thing that's up and up?
Big plastic bubble in the back?
Started throwing all the suitcases out. We had a big case of cigarettes out, 2 or 3 cases of liquor out, you know. Landed in a little place called Laurieton, Australia, where he hit. We jumped about 100 feet, hit again, and hit a sandbar. See? Stopped. Little town called Laurieton. Peaceful little summer resort town, you know. Guy came rowing out from the ocean, from the shore.
Yeah.
In a rowboat. We're all standing on the wing by now. He looked up, he said, I say there, do you have any American cigarettes there? And it was, you know, and here we are. We're all happy that we're alive, and this cat thinks it's a Pan-American stop, you know? Plane never landed there in this little lake before. But we were very happy to be down.
I'm glad you made it. We must take a message. We'll be right back. Talking with Bob Hope, the man I walked like for a year. I'll show you your walk sometime.
How'd you correct that? Did you have your legs broken or something?
It's a great walk. Were you born with that walk, or did you develop it? Or
I don't think I have a funny walk. I really don't. I think I walk very mannish. In fact, I'm almost brutal at times.
Listen, I must mention your special, because I know you always have one coming.
Right.
And you've got Mark Spitz on this one, which is
isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. That's what's happening all around the world. You know, since they found out that I have him on the air, Mark Spitz, this is what's been happening. I've got more requests right in my family for tickets and from my group, you know, saying, how can we get to see him? And my daughter-in-law called me yesterday and said, I want to take Zachary and Miranda and we get a picture with Mark Spitz. You know, that's going to be great, trying to rehearse with this guy and having all the women trying to run up and grab his fins.
I hope he keeps his fins covered. We won't have a problem.
That works. No, he's something else.
I think your show is on tomorrow night, if I don't have my calendar.
October the 5th.
October 5th?
Yeah, I don't know if you're on, but I'm on October the 5th.
I think tomorrow I'm pretty sure of. Yeah, I go that far into the future. Do you know?
You should be decorated for the great job you've done in the last 5 years. And I'm not kidding. You've done a marvelous job. Yeah. You know, this... No. Okay. I don't...
Well, I hope they got that on tape.
No, I'm not kidding. Now, you know, I get around the country a lot.
Yeah.
And I meet a lot of people who are interested in this type of show. And they love you for the job you do, really. And the newspapers have been behind you. You know, you've seen all that stuff.
I have seen it. A lot of
And
people
it's not easy for a fellow with your education.
You're right. Say, you don't know this. You don't know this, but I was in...
I talked to your mother where, in Lincoln, didn't I? Last time I was there?
You were, yeah, you've been in Lincoln, and I almost was going to come out there and sort of surprise you, but I thought that might look pushy to
No, I
come on
didn't.
stage.
Anything would have helped.
No.
No, they're great. And I went to the game and got the hat on, you know, and the whole thing, the big red one. Oh, gee, I really enjoy those.
Some football team, Nebraska.
Oh, they're too much. And when they beat Alabama, you know, I went down to Alabama just after that, and I saw Papa Bear Bryant. And I said, it's nice to see him sitting up. And he just came out of surgery. They had the corn cobs removed. They shoved one in each ear. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea. They'll do anything. Say, I was going to reveal something to you. I was in your house one time.
You're going to give me money.
No. I was in your house once. You wouldn't know this. Actually, I wasn't supposed to be in it. I was working for the old Tonight Show, and I went over to pick up some film or something, and I went into your house, and they said, just wait here. And I looked around, and I thought, I couldn't believe it. I'm in Bob Hope's house, and it's got carpeting and furniture and everything. I walked around with, and there are pictures of presidents. And the thing I noticed, and I've never known about this from that day to this, I don't even know if I should ask you this, but they pointed to where your bedroom was, and outside your door...
It's now a laundry drop.
Outside your door is a blackboard. Do you keep score of some kind, or what? I mean, on what nights you have insomnia or something?
You're making me look awful sanitary.
No,
and not only that, it's so flattering, I'm going to plead guilty.
No, I meant the number.
I love that.
I mean the number of nights you're home or something, since you're off. So, is there not a blackboard outside your?
I want to see you get out of this. Go ahead, work.
I can't.
Work, Dick, work.
Isn't there?
No, you know what you're talking about now. You know, was it that long ago?
Blackboard and chalk.
Yeah, was it that long ago that you were at my place?
Yeah.
Well, that was when I lived in Navajo. How long ago was that?
8 years maybe, something.
No,
Toluca Lake House.
Oh, that's another kind of blackboard. That's where I leave my call for the morning. But we used to have a I thought you were talking about something else.
No.
you know, that's the one that the girls downstairs in the kitchen reading. You know, I would want to score there. I think that... Isn't he terrible?
I'm sorry I brought that up.
Terrible.
But you're right. You leave what time you want to be awakened in the morning.
Right.
Oh, okay. So, see, I didn't make it up.
Yeah, sure. How do you get all this information?
I got that personally. We'll
Are
be
you
right.
reading cards here or something?
No, there's a little light
Somebody
there
telling
telling
you
us.
to talk dirty. Who's doing that?
You bring out the worst in me. We'll be right back. Can we go back a little ways with
How far back?
Well, as far back as we... How about all the way back to Chicago? Would that be your early days in vaudeville, Chicago?
Well, actually, it started in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, where I made up my mind to do my single act, and then I went to Cleveland, my hometown, so I could be near the food while I was breaking in. You know.
What did it? What made you decide to go into the business?
Well, what made me? We had a double act, and we worked up here at B.S. Moss's Franklin when it was big time. We were on number 2, and we went out there. We thought we had an act. And we did the act, and we rushed out twice to get 2 bows. Had to work real fast. And after the show, the manager came up, and he had Hope and Burn, and we rushed to the staircase. We were on about the 3rd or 4th floor. And we said, yes, we thought it was another day somewhere or something, you know. And he said, you can at least put on some makeup and look good. So I got the idea we ought to change our act or something, you know. So we went out to the west, and I got this chance to announce in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. And that, I got a couple of laughs. That encouraged me. So I went to Cleveland and broke in my act. And we used to do some great jokes like, where do the bugs go in the wintertime? You can search me. You know, stuff like that. Real.
And were you hungry ever? Can you remember having...
I actually wasn't too hungry, but I starved in Chicago. I stood around on the streets of Chicago trying to get a date. I just changed my name from Leslie Towns Hope to Bob Hope.
Leslie Towns.
Good old Bob, because it sounded rugged, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just about ready to give up and go back home with my big sack of laundry, and I met a friend, and I got a date. and started in there.
A date in the show, but you mean a job?
Yeah, a job.
Yeah.
And I got $25, which was just like, $1,000 to me, because I'd been making $10. And I played Detroit, Michigan last weekend, State Fair, and I got a lot of money. But I stood in the wings and I said, just think, here I played. In 1928, I was making $5, and I'd go on for nothing just to practice,
Mm-hmm.
But when I was being paid, I'd get $5 or $10. And I sat there going, and believe me, I got a lot of money at Detroit. And I figured it out, though, after taxes, I was getting about the same.
25.
About $10.
Yeah.
Take home.
Now, some people in the business have made a fortune and lost it. And you've been known for being very good with money. Is that something you inherited? Or
No, I was kind of lucky. Bing and I went into oil, and we made a lot of money in oil. And these things you hear about, my money has been all just blown out of proportion, really.
Yeah.
Now, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. I've got quite a bit of money, considering, but I'm nothing like they print in these magazines. That's a true story.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. They do things for sensational copy,
Yeah.
And
you don't need any, do you?
No, but huh?
You don't need any money.
Yes, Dick. Yes.
Well,
I'd like to get back to the hotel, Dick.
But that's
I know.
been exaggerated about your being the wealthiest man in the world.
Pay, and you know how I play benefits. Anything to help the needy. I say, no, but it is blown up, way out of proportion. Seriously, because they had me like I was nudging Paul Getty,
That's right.
In fact, Jack Benny did a line at some dinner when I was the guest of honor, and he said, Bob is so wealthy, he refers to Howard Hughes as getting along well.
It's right in his style, yeah.
When Crosby is the one that has the money, he's got the big bills lit. You remember the big bills? He's
the old dollars
still
that were
got a
this
lot
size.
of those. I want to tell you, and I'm sure he's figured out a way to take it with him, because I saw him buying an asbestos suitcase the other day.
I remember a joke. So that's where you're going.
Some of the good things.
Yeah. I remember a joke. I wouldn't say Crosby's rich, but he's the only man I know who has a billfold with curb feelers. You remember curb feelers? Years ago on cars.
I love it. You remind me of what I was telling you about being here in New York when I was in Roberta. I was single. I was single in New York with about 25 gorgeous girls in the show. I had I had Pierce Arrow, town car, and a chauffeur. I used to sleep in a high hat, So a little confetti. And I was pretty good looking.
Single and a Pierce Arrow.
I used to drive down Broadway, and man, I used to have to beat those gals off the running boards.
A running board.
Running boards?
What?
Running boards, anybody?
I think the stagehands remember running board.
I love
curb
it.
feelers.
That's great.
What would you have done if you had come back with that big bag of laundry from Chicago and you just decided, I cannot make it in the business and that's it, and I'm changing my... What would you have done?
I have no idea. How you're going to tell? I'd have probably become a great dramatic actor or something, Something super, I'm sure.
Were you a good student when you were in school?
No, not too
Not good.
No, I was too interested in other things.
Were you any good in math?
Yeah, I counted pretty well.
Yeah. I wondered if you had a strong subject as a kid.
No, I was. I was pretty good in math. And I was pretty good in singing because I liked the singing teacher.
Yeah.
And I was very good. She used
Singing
to
teacher was
invite me over every once in a while.
a lady.
It's all clean.
Ever been tempted to be psychoanalyzed?
Not up till now.
Is this helping? Yeah. We have to take a message. We'll be right back.
Boy, you're really laying out some of those pictures tonight, aren't you?
I think that one was from possibly the big broadcast. I'm not sure, from 1938. That's where you first sang Thanks for the Memory, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Gee, as I look at you, I still don't believe you're here, You were such a thing to me as I was coming up as a kid, and I don't mean to keep emphasizing age.
No.
Because certainly nobody has conquered age any better than you have.
That's right. And you know what General Eisenhower said about age? There's three stages of life. Youth, maturity, and God, you look good.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yeah.
And it's true, too.
I just remembered something else. That time you came to Lincoln, Nebraska, I saw your show, and then I ran around backstage, and when you came out, I said, "Good show, Bob," or something, and as if in case you thought it was not good. And I was probably about 10 years old, and you said, "Thanks, son." Got in a car and left. I remember for days after that, I said, I was talking with Bob Hope the other day, and because I said, "Good show," and he said, but this friend of mine and I went up to your hotel.
Yeah.
You were staying in the Cornhusker Hotel.
Yeah, and I got stuck in the elevator.
You did?
Yeah, I was there with the mayor, and I was living on next to the top floor, and when I got on, he said, "Hey, Bob Hope," and pushed the handle the wrong way. We went right to the roof. And they have an automatic thing that shuts it off, you know, but we were stuck between floors, and I had to crawl out of a hole that big to make the show, you know. Gives you a great feeling.
That would be all the close shaves you've had.
I went back to that town. That shows you how courageous I am.
To end up in an elevator in the middle of Nebraska after all.
Is John from there? He's from there, isn't he?
Carson is from Nebraska. I used to hear him on the radio on the way to school.
Yeah.
What'd
you do, hit him?
No, but I went up to your hotel room, and this friend of mine and I got up our nerve, and we knocked on the door.
Yeah.
And a lady came to the door, and she said...
My school teacher. I had to have. I was still going to school.
No, it was a middle-aged lady who said, "Mr. Hope's retired for the evening," and it was in those days I thought, what's a middle-aged lady doing in there with him?
No,
I didn't realize there were suites of rooms.
My psychiatrist.
And turned out that it was not your room, but you had
wrong
the whole,
room.
Apparently had the whole floor, and I guess you had secretaries and various people who worked for you. And every place we went, they said,
my wife is watching. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, you know. Because she wasn't there, I don't think, in Lincoln, Nebraska.
They said...
I think you had the wrong room, didn't you, Dick?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, it was the wrong town.
I think so, Dick.
No, what have I done after all these years? No, members of your staff, we kept finding their rooms, and they kept saying, "Mr. Hope's retired for the evening," and we thought, well, okay. We thought of trying to climb up the fire escape.
Did we give you some kind of an all-day sucker and tell you to go away or what?
No.
What did we do?
Have you ever been fired? I mean, like...
Fired? Yeah, I've been fired.
Yeah?
Well, I haven't been fired, actually, but I've been... was I fired? I must have been, yeah.
In vaudeville or anything? Did they ever come back and say, "That's it"? You know.
Well, I told you about the Franklin thing.
Oh, yeah. But I mean...
B.S. Moss's Franklin. That was the same thing.
Cancel you?
Worse than being fired. They weren't polite about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've had my option dropped by Paramount, you know. I was there 19 years, and then they didn't pick up my option
After all those road
time.
pictures?
Yeah, that's right. After the whole thing. They changed management and everything, you know.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick up my option the way I wanted it picked up. And I'll tell you, man, that's a terrible feeling after being in a place 19 years and you walk out. Because I was pretty well entrenched there, you know. It wasn't that way the first month I was there. In fact, they had my name on the dressing room door in chalk. They had a guy walking up and down in front with a sponge in his hand.
You know, when you said earlier you're a ham and you love the laughter and you'd like to keep going on with it, and I don't think I have it quite to that degree. And I wonder if you could take a month and go off somewhere in a cabin and fish and read Popular Mechanics or Dickens or whatever, just nobody around it. I bet you'd go crazy when you know telephone.
Not at all.
Would you actually do that?
No. I went up to Egg Harbor because I'll always find something to do, you know. And you know, the fish don't applaud much, but. I love to get out. I fish. I go out fishing for a couple of weeks, and I love it.
How long can you stand the quiet?
I say about 20 minutes.
That's what I thought.
No, I do. I get out, and I have a lot of fun. You know, I have more fun than most people because I live in Palm Springs half the time. Mm-hmm. I play golf, and all these dates I play are, you know, I'm going to play the Harvest Moon Ball, you know. Now, that's because I want to play it, you know. And I don't have to play it because I know I can always borrow a little from you.
True. Which president that you've known them all, so who played golf best?
Played golf best?
Yeah.
Well, I think Ike, because Ike was, you know, loved the game and played a lot of it. I played with Mr. Nixon about a year ago in the Palm Desert, and he was pretty tight. Now, he used to be a pretty good player when he was vice president, like Agnew, you know. Agnew has a black belt. He has a black belt in golf, and I think that... no, he is. you know, Spiro could be a fine golfer if he could just aim it right. Because he hits it very hard, but he plays 3 or 4 courses at one time. And also the driving range. But Mr. Nixon, I played with him with Jimmy Stewart and Fred McMurray out at El Dorado. And, you know, when I played with him, he was a 14, and now he's about a 20 because he's had all these problems, you know, like going to China and having his eyes almond and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's
tightened up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And learning to eat with chopsticks. He didn't get much food in his mouth, but he started 3 fires. And I think that
it's just built into you. What?
I didn't know I was going to get into that. But that's some of it. Yeah. No, but he would get up to here and hit the ball from there, you know? And I said, Mr. President, because I know him pretty well, I said, why don't you pull your hands up a little higher, you know? And how many times can you say to the President of the United States, get your hands up higher? No, you don't say it, do you?
John F. Kennedy played golf, but it wasn't well known that he did.
No, he played down in Palm Beach. Yeah. In fact, I think Bing played with him a couple of times.
Do you know
he played with a friend of mine, Chris Dunphy, Jack Kennedy, when he was president. And Chris Dunphy used to wait for him at the plane and take him right out to Seminole and play. And they were playing, and Chris loves to play for money, so they were playing whatever Kennedy would play for, you know, $5 or $10. And if he did that, this is just hearsay, I don't think he gambled. But anyway, first hole he had a putt about this long, the President of the United States. And the President looked up and said, aren't you going to give me this putt? Chris said, these are the kind of putts that build character. He said, President Kennedy said, wait a minute. You know, you realize that I flew down here after working for you and the rest of the country all day, and I came down to play. You're not going to give me this putt? And he said, Mr. President, practice these kind, because if you ever play for any big money, he said, this is the kind that'll help you in your game, you know? And Jack Kennedy looked at it. He said, well, I want to tell you, I'm having a meeting today with Mortimer Kaplan, the head of the Internal Revenue Department. Chris said, pick it up.
Okay, we have to come back after this message. Stay where you are. I noticed that Chief Dan George, who was in Little Big Man, he's been on here. He's I forget what tribe he is.
Oh, I was up in Seattle.
Squamish, I believe. Yeah.
What is he?
Squamish, I believe.
I think so.
Up in the Northwest.
Something like that. But he's some guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Great actor.
Marvelous.
Really
great face.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Terrific. Terrific. He's really good. Yeah. I wish he could pitch. I'd put him in Cleveland.
Do you? This is a strange thing to ask you, but just crossed my mind. Where were you when Pearl Harbor was bombed?
Pearl Harbor, I was on my way to the golf course when. It's true. When you thought I was in with Pearl Schwartz, huh?
No, I know that's not.
No, I was on my way to the golf course when I heard FDR declare war.
On the car radio?
No, wait a minute. What am I talking about? No.
Wait a minute.
No. That's right, Pearl Harbor. When the thing happened, when they announced.
Yeah, they interrupted Sunday afternoon.
And I was on my way to Lakeside Golf Course in Burbank, and I heard that thing. Yeah. And then I heard our president, FDR, announce it, who had some kind of sense of humor. He was beautiful, too. Most presidents have a great sense of humor, you know, because Jack Kennedy was marvelous, had a great sense. FDR was marvelous because the first time I played for him, I said that I'm so thrilled to be there to apologize for some of the things that I have said about our president, Roosevelt. Things like when Mr. Churchill and Mr. Roosevelt were conferring on war strategy in the Pacific, or in the Atlantic. War strategy meaning where and when will we attack the enemy and how do we keep Eleanor out of the crossfire. That doesn't do much to you because you were a little kid when you came to see me in Lincoln, weren't you?
That's right. But I understand that. I mean, because she was always traveling.
Yeah, she would travel. That played very large then.
Yeah. Is it funny? Do you ever read back old... Your lip is curling. Do you ever read back those old scripts and not know what a joke meant because something has just gone completely out of date? I've looked at jokes I wrote 6, 7 years ago for other comedians.
I understand that would happen to your stuff, but I tell you... No, yeah, we do. You know how many jokes we have, and you never get a chance to look back because I've always had a staff that goes on, and we lay on the headlines all the time, you know. Yeah. So we don't actually go back, unless we go back. Who dropped that one?
Do you know what that was?
Did you call a cab or something?
No, they're blasting in this neighborhood.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and they're getting closer, it sounds like.
God, I thought... I'm used to hearing sirens on your show, but...
You are, aren't you?
My goodness.
Yeah, they're blasting now.
Do they know that you're going to be here a few more weeks? They're blasting already?
Yes, I don't understand that. I'm very sorry about that, but then you've been...
I'll be all right. Don't worry about me. Tea, please.
That's funny. You've been in combat zones before, and you...
Is that a gag? Are you doing that for me?
No,
they did that to me one time. The 82nd Airborne Troopers put a bomb under the stage in 1943 in Africa.
Well, that's funny.
Just to see what I... That's right.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's what they thought.
Yeah.
Just to see my reaction, I jumped 4 feet right into a colonel's arms. We're married now.
Been writing ever since, eh?
No, it's true. They did. The 82nd Airborne in some place in Khartoum in Africa, some town. I thought that's what this was, to wake me up for the last half or something.
Did you ever have anything go off near you in World War II? You were up very close to a lot of...
Oh, boy, we had something go off in Ben Hoa in Vietnam the first time we were there. Mm-hmm. They had all this security around us. That was in 1964, I think, our first trip over there. And right after that, they had just bombed the airfield and knocked out 17 planes. That was one of the original, plots to knock out an American plane. And they caught a group with the bombs just about 1.5 miles away from the stage while the stage was on.
While you're doing the show?
While we're doing the show, they told us about it. So we've been very, very lucky. There's little things that happen. And I think they found out that they were on our side, too.
Your tone was so
serious. Can I reword that?
Can you reword that? Yes. What do you read, Bob? Do you get much time to read? How do you keep up?
I read all the papers. I try to read all the headlines and, around. I don't get a chance to. I read scripts and different things. I don't get a chance to read some great books that I'd like to read. But because I read a lot of scripts and a lot of plays and different things.
You must have to keep up with just about everything that's going on.
Yeah,
because you meet with everybody. And,
right. I try to get material out of it,
What in your trophy room would you, if there were a fire in it, would you run in and grab?
In my trophy room?
Yeah, what's moved you?
Oh, boy, that's a hard thing to say. A lot of things. I've been very, very lucky, and I've been moved by a lot of things. And there's a lot of things that I'd like to save,
Yeah.
In that trophy room. Quite a few.
The Congressional Medal, one of the top, the special medal that you got?
Yeah, that's in the safe.
It is.
We're going to have a copy made of that. And seriously, to put on an exhibit. I'm hope to open a museum very soon out there because
I wish you would. It'd be fun to see.
I've had things given to me by almost every base that I've ever played since 1941.
Yeah, it'd be
and great pictures, marvelous pictures of audiences of our service guys that that I've enjoyed. And there's so many things in that.
What would you do over differently? Do you like your life as far as it's been so far?
You know what I started a book with? If I had my life to live over again, I wouldn't have time.
That's very good.
That's true, and I don't want to change one day of it. I've been so really lucky, and so I've had such emotional kicks with different audiences around the world, and I've been exceptionally lucky.
Yeah,
I have.
Well, we must take this message and we'll...
I don't want to make you cry.
No. This is a great kick.
I've enjoyed it. I thought you were going to do the full 90 minutes.
This is it. We did.
You're kidding.
No, this is it.
Well, I've really enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed hearing those numbers. Enjoyed seeing your little trap here. This is nice. This is wonderful. No, this is a wonderful place. These are the great intimate theaters that that we love. And
it's the old John Golden Theater. I've always wanted to see you sit and talk this long. There have been people who claim you couldn't do it without constantly getting laughs, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
That's instead of money, huh?
Thank you.
Love it.